These roads don't forgive mistakes. Ice, cliffs, floods, lava. Think you can handle them? You might want to think twice. If there's one road that's gained worldwide infamy for being absolutely insane, it's Bolivia's youngest road, better known by its nickname, Death Road. It's not some poetic exaggeration. This stretch of dirt and gravel, which winds from La Paz into the Amazon rainforest, has left thousands of vehicles teetering on the edge of oblivion. The road runs about 40 miles, hugging the side of the Cordillera mountain range. There are spots where the path narrows to just 10 feet wide, and yet cars, trucks, and yes, even buses have tried squeezing through. One wrong move? There's a vertical drop of over 1,800 feet, straight down into thick jungle. Guardrails. Forget it. This place doesn't even bother pretending to help you. Heavy fog rolls in without warning. Rain turns everything into a muddy slide. Waterfalls crash down right onto the road, turning blind corners into death traps. And then there are the stretches where rocks loosen and tumble, as if the mountains themselves are trying to shake you off. Despite all of this, the road was, until recently, a main route for locals. Can you believe that? Entire families relied on it daily. And even though a safer bypass has been built, Death Road hasn't exactly emptied out. It's now a magnet for thrill-seeking cyclists and daredevil travelers. Every day, dozens of riders try their luck, speeding down the same track that once devoured heavy trucks like a snake swallowing prey. But don't think this is just another tourist stunt. Emergency services are sparse, and once you're halfway in, turning back isn't always an option. Locals say the road has a mind of its own, calm one minute, chaos the next. Standing on one of the narrow ledges with the jungle yawning below and fog curling like smoke over the cliff, it feels like something out of Indiana Jones, or a bad dream you're somehow awake for. No set designers needed the danger. Here is very, very real. If you're still thinking of driving it, ask yourself, do you trust your brakes that much? If you think Death Road is intense, wait until you see the Golang Tunnel Road in China. This isn't just a narrow mountain pass, it's a road carved by hand to solid rock. And not by engineers, but by a group of villagers who were tired of being cut off from the outside world. The tunnel runs through the Taihang Mountains in Henan Province, twisting along sheer cliffs with a vertical drop just inches away from the edge of your tires. The Golang Tunnel is barely wide enough for a single vehicle, and lighting? There's none. During daylight, sun filters in through irregularly cut side windows that double as openings to a straight drop down the mountain. At night, it's pitch black. The road is just over 3/4 of a mile long, with sharp turns and zero forgiveness. You won't find guardrails or any margin for error. The surface is bumpy and uneven, and if a vehicle approaches from the other side, you're stuck negotiating who's going to reverse first in a tunnel on a cliff. Rain makes the stones slick, and in foggy conditions, visibility is almost non-existent. Yet the tunnel remains active mostly by tourists who've heard the legends and want to see if it's really as terrifying as it sounds. Spoiler it is. You're constantly brushing against the tunnel walls on one side, and on the other there's just open air. And yet, just like with Bolivia's Death Road, there's a strange pull to this place. The fact that it even exists, carved with chisels and hammers in one of China's most rugged mountain ranges, makes it feel like a hidden level in some adventure video game, except there's no reset button if you mess up. From cliffs to crashing waves, the Golang Tunnel may be narrow and dark, but Norway's Atlantic Ocean Road is wide open to the sky, and that might be even worse. This series of bridges and causeways links a string of islands along Norway's west coast, winding through the open sea like a thread barely holding everything together. And when the weather turns, it doesn't just rain, the ocean attacks. Built through a zone known for its brutal storms, the Atlantic Ocean Road is constantly battered by wind and water. Waves slam against the bridges with such force that spray sometimes covers entire vehicles. The Storsay Sundet Bridge, the most famous stretch of the road, curves so steeply it's earned the nickname the Road to Nowhere. From certain angles, it actually looks like the bridge just ends mid-air. The biggest danger here isn't the height or the speed, it's the unpredictability. One minute it's calm and scenic, the next minute, gale force winds make your steering wheel feel loose in your hands. Some sections flood during storm surges, others become completely invisible under thick fog. There are warning signs, but no amount of signage prepares you for the experience of driving this road while the sea throws itself at your windshield. Unlike some of the more remote roads on this list, the Atlantic Ocean Road is surprisingly well maintained. But that doesn't make it safe, it just means it's always ready to test someone new. The surreal beauty of the landscape can trick you into letting your guard down, which is exactly when the next rogue wave decides to make your car part of the coastline. Coming off those crashing waters and into the mountains again, we're heading next to a road that mixes both altitude and danger, Zojila Pass, India's slippery road in the sky. Slippery. Leaving the wet winds of Norway behind, we go higher, much higher. Zojila Pass isn't just a road. It's a thread of mud, gravel, and snow clinging to the Himalayas at over 11,000 feet. Located in India's Ladakh region, this route connects Srinagar to Leh, and it's one of the only lifelines through the mountains for months out of the year. When the pass is open, it's chaos. When it's closed, entire regions are cut off. What makes Zojila terrifying isn't just its altitude, it's everything else. The road is carved along steep cliffs with no real barriers. Heavy snow is common, even late into the year, and when it melts, the surface turns into a slippery mess. Landslides, avalanches, sudden rockfalls, all of it happens here. Drivers share the narrow track with military trucks, honking buses, and locals packed into jeeps. There's barely room for 2 vehicles to pass, and yet, somehow, traffic flows both ways. Visibility can drop in seconds as fog rolls in or clouds descend onto the road itself. Rain turns tight corners into skid zones. Despite all this, there are no lanes, no lights, and very few signs. Every turn feels like a guess: are you curving around the mountain or off it? The stakes are high, but for many it's just part of life. Convoys move supplies across it, and thrill seekers try their luck during the brief summer season when the pass is fully open. But this isn't a place to admire the view for too long. One distracted glance might be your last. And if the mountain decides it's time to shift, there's no warning, just a rumble and then silence. Zojila might be high and icy, but Meadows Road in Pakistan is pure madness, carved into rock and dirt. This road doesn't wind gently up a slope, it claws its way up the face of a mountain, often with less than a foot of clearance on either side. It's not paved, it's not marked, and if you want to drive it, you'll need nerves of steel and a very good reason. The road leads to a place called Meadows, a breathtaking alpine meadow beneath Nanga Parbat, the 9th highest mountain on Earth. But the only way up is this jeep track, which snakes through the mountains for around 7 miles of extreme terrain. There are sections where the road literally hangs off the edge. On one side, there's rock, on the other, a straight drop with nothing to stop a fall. No rail, no ditch, just air. During rainy weather, the dirt surface turns to mud, making the track even more unstable. Rocks can fall at any time. In places, the road narrows to a width where even a jeep struggles to pass. Turning around? Not an option. Most visitors let local drivers take the wheel, and even they admit this road isn't for the faint-hearted. It's not just the technical difficulty, it's the mental toll. The further you go, the tighter the road becomes. There are no brake areas, no pull-offs, and the mountains loom close enough to scrape your mirrors. Every engine noise echoes off stone walls. Every tire shift feels like a potential disaster. The reward at the end is stunning a tranquil meadow straight out of a painting. But many say the journey up is more intense than the view at the top. This isn't just a road, it's a tightrope stretched across a mountain, and every inch feels like a dare. Now we go to South America, where the road doesn't dangle off cliffs or fight the sea, it climbs to the sky. Aberdelai is part of Argentina's legendary Route 40, and it takes drivers up to nearly 16,400 feet. That's higher than many airplane cruising altitudes. Up here, the sky feels closer than the ground. The road itself is gravel, steep, and often surrounded by snow or windswept plains. There's little oxygen at this height, which doesn't just affect engines, it hits drivers too. Breathing gets harder, focus fades, and yet you're navigating a route full of tight bends, sudden drops, and no shoulder room. The air is thin, but the danger is thick. Unlike some mountain roads, there are very few visual warnings. The landscape is beautiful but deceptive. The colors of the rock and sky blend, making it hard to see where the edges really are. You can go from a clear day to snow flurries in minutes. Wind gusts hit like punches, especially in exposed sections of the pass. And cell signal? Forget it. Still, drivers come. Explorers, locals, adventurers, and people chasing something a little out of reach. The road's isolation is part of its pull. It feels untouched. A road that's dared people to conquer it, or just to get across it for generations. But every journey over Aberdelai is a risk. Your car might not like it. Your lungs might not like it. And if your brakes fail here, there's no margin for error. This isn't just a road to drive, it's a road to survive. And once you've made it over, you won't look at high altitude the same way again. In most cities, a highway is a place to escape the rain. In Houston, it's where the water goes. This city has some of the most flood-prone roads in the United States, and when storms hit, entire freeways vanish beneath rising water. The most notorious are the underpasses and sunken stretches of I-10, US 59, and the Hardy Toll Road roads that can transform into rivers in just hours. During major storm events, especially the kind that now hit more often, these highways turn into churning channels. What makes it more unsettling is that everything looks normal until it doesn't. You could be driving under an overpass and suddenly the road ahead has disappeared into brown, debris-filled floodwater. There are few things more surreal than watching a pickup truck floating where cars sped through just the day before. It's not just heavy rainfall, it's how the city is built. Much of Houston sits on flat, impermeable clay soil. Water doesn't soak in, it piles up. Add in a growing population, expanding pavement, and intense storms, and you've got a recipe for roads that drown. Drivers have been caught off guard again and again, with signs warning turn around, don't drown posted all over the city for a reason. Even when the water recedes, the danger doesn't go away. These floods leave behind damage that hides in plain sight, weakened pavement, sinkholes, and hidden debris. The roads might dry up, but their reputation sticks around. In Houston, when the forecast turns dark, locals know better than to trust that the road ahead is still there. Head to Hawaii's Big Island and you'll find a road that ends in a wall of lava. Literally. Chain of Craters Road runs through Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and parts of it have been overtaken more than once by molten rock. It's one of the only roads in the world where the pavement just disappears under a hardened volcanic flow. The route starts off peaceful enough, winding past old lava fields and steaming vents. But as you descend toward the coast, you see the past meet the present in a way that's both beautiful and unsettling. The jagged black terrain stretches for miles, some of it still warm to the touch. And then the road just ends. Not because construction stopped, but because the Earth decided to claim it back. Over the years, eruptions from Kilauea volcano have wiped out entire sections. Maintenance crews sometimes reopen parts, only for the next lava flow to seal them shut again. Driving it feels like following the edge of a battlefield, a calm surface masking the chaos underneath. Fog drifts in from the ocean, volcanic gases swirl in the air, and the silence feels heavier than usual. You're driving through a reminder that this isn't your territory. Nature owns this stretch, and it can shut it down whenever it wants. There are no lights, no buildings, no phone signal, just you, the road, and the slow memory of fire. If you ever want to test your driving skills and your pulse, Scardu Road in northern Pakistan is where you go. Stretching through the Karakoram Mountains, this road links Gilgit with the town of Scardu, and in between lies one of the most brutal drives in the world. The path is narrow, carved directly into the rock face, and clings to the side of the mountain like it's just barely holding on. There are no guardrails, the edges crumble easily. On one side, the wall looms close enough to scrape your mirrors. On the other, there's a vertical drop straight into the Indus River. Add in unpredictable weather snow, rock slides, and sudden fog, and you've got a road where every turn feels like it could be your last. What makes Scardu Road especially difficult is its constant change. Landslides frequently block the route, sometimes for days. Patches of the road can vanish entirely. Yet it remains one of the region's most vital arteries, used daily by locals, supply trucks, and daring tourists. Drivers often have to stop, assess a crumbling section, then crawl across it at walking speed, hoping the rocks beneath their tires hold together just a little longer. There are stories of travelers getting stuck for hours behind trucks unable to pass narrow gaps, or of entire convoys reversing half a mile to find a wider spot to maneuver. In dry weather, the dust blinds you. In wet weather, the road turns to paste. Either way, there's not much margin for hesitation. Scardu Road demands patience, focus, and a bit of courage. It's not just a way to get from one town to another, it's a trial by stone, water, and gravity. If you're looking for silence, you'll find it on Alaska's Dalton Highway, the kind of silence where your own engine sounds too loud. This road runs more than 400 miles from Fairbanks to the oil fields of Prudhoe Bay. And most of the way, you'll see nothing but tundra, mountains, and sky. It was built to support the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, not to welcome tourists. And it shows. Only about 100 miles of the Dalton are paved. The rest is gravel, dust, and ice depending on the season. In winter, which lasts most of the year up there, temperatures plummet deep below zero. The road becomes a ribbon of ice, slick and unforgiving. In summer, rain creates long stretches of slippery mud. Either way, it's treacherous. And if you break down, help isn't just around the corner. There are no gas stations for over 200 miles in parts, and cell service is mostly non-existent. Truckers dominate this highway, roaring past in massive rigs that throw up clouds of gravel and snow. One cracked windshield and you're lucky. If you skid off the road, there are no guardrails, and it could take hours before anyone notices. There's wildlife too, moose, bears, and wolves, and they cross when they want. Not when it's convenient. What's most unsettling is how quickly the Dalton can switch from calm to chaos. 1 minute it's quiet and still, and the next, a snow squall drops visibility to zero. If the wind picks up, it feels like your vehicle might lift off the road entirely. The scenery is stunning, but it's the kind of beauty that doesn't care whether you survive it. Now let's head far south to a road high in the mountains of the Philippines, the Halsa Highway. It winds through the Cordillera Central mountain range, connecting Baguio City to the remote provinces in the north. It's scenic, yes, but this isn't a calm mountain retreat. It's a road where fog rolls in fast, landslides are common, and there's barely enough space to pass in many areas. The pavement varies wildly smooth 1 minute, broken and crumbling the next. Guardrails, where they exist, are often flimsy. And visibility? It's not rare to find yourself driving in thick clouds where you can't see more than a few feet ahead. Local buses, known as monster jeeps, charge around tight corners with confidence built more on habit than logic. Meeting one of those face-to-face on a narrow bend is a daily gamble. During the rainy season, large portions of the highway can get washed out, or simply vanish beneath landslides. Recovery crews do what they can, but the mountain decides the pace. And if you're driving without local knowledge, it's easy to find yourself on a stretch of road that suddenly dips into gravel or ends in a pothole big enough to take out a wheel. Despite all this, the highway is full of life. People live, work, and move along this road every day. But it's not a place to drop your guard. It's easy to get lulled by the mist, the pine trees, the cool air. Then the fog thickens and you're suddenly aware of just how high up you are and how close that edge really is. Some roads dare you with heights or weather. Taiwan's Taroko Gorge Road dares you with the mountain itself. Officially part of the Central Cross Island Highway, this route cuts straight through marble cliffs, snakes past waterfalls, and dives in and out of tunnels carved directly into the rock face. It's narrow uncomfortably so, and most of the way, there's just enough room for 2 cars to pass each other. Buses and trucks also share the road, which makes every blind turn feel like a lottery. Add in motorbikes weaving between lanes, and you've got a full house of chaos in motion. There are tunnels where the roof drips water from the rock above, and corners where the only thing between you and the gorge below is a low stone wall. Rain turns things worse. The cliffs surrounding the gorge are steep and unstable, and rock slides aren't rare. Warning signs mark falling rock zones, but if you see rocks tumbling, it's already too late. Some of the tunnels aren't lit, and some don't have barriers. 1 second you're in a dark hole, and the next you burst into blinding daylight over a cliffside curve. The Taroko Gorge is breathtaking in more ways than one. You'll want to look around, but on this road your eyes need to stay forward. Nature doesn't just surround the road, it's constantly trying to take it back. And yet, people drive it every day, either for the challenge, the scenery, or simply because it's the only route to the other side. Back into the cold now, and deep into eastern Siberia, where the Kolyma Highway runs over 1,200 miles from Magadan to Yakutsk. It's known as the Road of Bones, not because of myth, but because of the dark history buried beneath it. But we're not here to dwell on the past. We're here because it's still one of the toughest and most dangerous winter roads on Earth. In the coldest inhabited region on the planet, this road becomes a frozen gauntlet for anyone who dares to drive it. Winters here aren't just cold, they're brutal. Temperatures can dip to -60 Fahrenheit. Metal becomes brittle, tires stiffen. Breathing the air can burn your lungs if you're not prepared. And this road stretches through hundreds of miles of absolute nothing. The pavement isn't consistent. Much of the route is dirt or gravel, and in the warmer months, it turns into thick mud that can trap trucks for days. In winter, it becomes an icy ribbon flanked by snowbanks and forests. Get stuck, And your biggest enemy isn't time, it's temperature. Engines freeze. Phones don't work. There are long sections without any settlements. But strangely, this road is still active. Locals, delivery drivers, and adventurers all take it. In the dead of winter, there's even an ice road section that cuts directly across frozen rivers, usable only for a few weeks before the thaw makes it deadly. There's a strange calmness to the Halsa Highway. The landscape is silent, vast, and beautiful. But make no mistake, it's a road that tests not just your vehicle, but your ability to stay calm in the most extreme kind of isolation. At first glance, Romania's Transfigurian Highway looks like something out of a fantasy movie. Surrounded by the towering peaks of the Făgăraș Mountains, the road zigzags through dense forests, past waterfalls, and up toward the clouds. But don't let the beauty fool you. This isn't a scenic route you relax on. It's a twisting, unpredictable climb that's as dangerous as it is mesmerizing. Built in the 1970s under harsh conditions and intense pressure, the highway was meant as a strategic military route through the Carpathians. In typical Transylvanian fashion, the road doesn't rise gently. It switches back sharply with hairpin curves that stack on top of one another like coils of a sleeping snake. Some bends are so tight you can see your own taillights if you look over your shoulder. The weather is its own opponent. It can shift from sunny to stormy within minutes. Dense fog rolls in fast, swallowing the road until visibility drops to just a few feet. Rain turns corners into slip zones, and in colder months, snow can fall suddenly even when the lower roads are clear. Black ice hides in shadowed turns. And guardrails? In many places, they're little more than decorative. Drivers come from all over Europe for the challenge, drawn by the reputation, the legends, and maybe the fact that the road was once declared the best driving road in the world by a famous British car show. But even expert drivers admit this is a road you don't conquer, you survive it. That's about it. Which road scared you the most? Write in the comments. For more useful information, watch other videos.